This is actually the first time I've ever played Souvenir de Florence, and I think I'm one of the few people in the orchestra who's never played it before.
I've played Tchaikovsky's Souvenir de Florence quite a few times before, but I've always played the second cello part. It's a sextet for 2 violins, 2 violas, 2 cellos, but we play it with the full orchestra of 17 players. I first started playing the cello when I was 9. I think I was a big kid with big hands, and my mum thought cello would be the right instrument for me, and I'm pretty glad she kept me at it. I certainly wouldn't be playing the cello if she hadn't, cajoled and bribed me into practicing back in those early years.
I first started playing violin, I think, when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I think the very first violin I picked up was I think someone made it out of a tissue box and some rubber bands or something. That's my first memory of anything resembling a violin, having to walk around the house just with this empty tissue box under my chin.
The amount that I practice every day really depends on what's happening with our schedule. Sometimes if we're travelling and have a concert that night, there's not a lot of time. But if I'm at home and I have time, then I'll do 3 hours practice a day, maybe 4 hours. Well, a new piece, you start by looking at the score is the best place to start, and you try and get a feel for what the composer, what his ideas are, what kind of language he's using. And then obviously you look at the actual notes and what's on the page.
I don't have a particularly organised approach to it. I just kind of bow to string, as it were, and start playing, and things, I guess the problem areas tend to kind of make themselves apparent fairly quickly. And I don't know whether this is probably a bit embarrassing to admit, but say if it's a piece such as Souvenir de Florence, which the orchestra has played a lot of times before, I might even kind of play along with while listening to a recording of it, just to kind of get a bit more of a sense of how my part fits in with the rest of the music. I didn't always want to be a professional musician. It was about midway through my second year of medicine at about, I think, 8:30 in the morning, and I'd just come from a violin lesson over at the conservatorium, which was about a couple of 100 metres or so from the medical building, and I just remember having almost an epiphany all the way to my anatomy lecture, just thinking, okay, I have to kind of find out how to devote my life to music in some way.
I was always practicing and I was always doing it, but I never thought that it would definitely be the thing. There are people like, Richard Tognetti. From the moment he picked up a violin, he was like, this is what I want to do. This is the thing for me. I'm going to be a violinist. And, obviously he's very good and he's followed that path. I think for a lot of other people, it takes more time for that passion to kind of present itself.
For a crescendo, right? Yeah, but not for us. And
often the way our work is structured, so the first performance is often on a Saturday, and so we'd rehearse, say, the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday before that, then have a day off on the Friday and the first concert on the Saturday, and then start off a national tour.
We all play our parts, and then we try and get to the heart of the music, so that all of our parts fit together into the unified whole, and really try and draw out what the composer meant with the notation that he used.
And then the 16th note, semiquaver, is not quite together. But what is the cat? It's a real upbeat.
The thing with music notation is it's a very inexact thing. So there's a lot of interpretation to be done. What did Tchaikovsky mean by a dot and a line? What did he mean by that slur? Is it a phrasing slur or a bowing slur? It's not an exact art form, putting music down on the page. So there's a lot of interpretation to be done. I
often find that actually a lot of discussion is saved by more playing in a way, especially when a piece is kind of in its embryonic stages and people haven't quite developed a sort of organic feel for the whole piece.
347, is that okay? 1, 2, 3.
Playing with the ACO, one of the great things is that we do play with the same people for a long time, for decades, and you really get to know the people musically. And personally, I mean, look, I'm of the opinion that people pretty much play as they are. It's a reflection of their personality. I mean, I suppose that the real advantage of that is that you know what their habits are, you know what their strengths and weaknesses are, what it is you can draw from them, how you draw the best performances from them. You really get a good understanding of how they work, not just on their instrument, but in the broader, social and musical context of the band. What the subscribers see is the part of the ACO life where we stand on stage and perform, but there are a lot of other elements that they wouldn't see, where we're editing recordings or we're sitting in a recording studio.
1, 10.
When we rehearse something through slowly, it does a number of things, I suppose. Often it's for, say, something like intonation, just making sure that everything's perfectly in tune, and just when things are slowed down or taken back a level, it sort of gives you space to listen and make a nice blended sound with the section. But as with everything, just at a slower speed, you can take note of what's going on and work out how to fix it if there is anything that needs to be fixed.
Down. So if we go tee da 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 tee da da da, should you keep on going tee da 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 tee da 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 tee da da? That one. We can be more intense.
If you think about an instrument as having a voice, I guess the bow, I guess we sort of think of it as our breath. So the way we use our bow would be much the way a singer, uses the air in their lungs to breathe. I suppose bowing in the same direction is only just one aspect of what we have to do together. Bowing in the same way, at the same speed, in the same part of the bow, the same distance away from the bridge, and producing the same sound is a huge part of what we do.
It comes from dance music in France. Because they were playing certain kinds of dance music, the bowing, because you do have the stronger down bow and the slightly weaker up bow, the kind of bowing you did defined how well it fitted with the dance, whether you had a down step or an up step. So they did all of their bowing the same.
In tempo, anything. 1.
The ACO spends a lot of time on the road. Doing a lot of travel is part of our daily life, and I suppose you sort of have to work out some way to make it your everyday life and your normality, and find some way to maintain your sense of self and having a home, despite often living out of a suitcase in a hotel room.
You need things that keep you active in that kind of environment, whether it's reading books or watching interesting shows on TV or writing music. I mean, everyone has a different kind of passion.
I find standing up to play actually incredibly liberating. I suppose everybody is different, and some people are good at sitting and use their body well, but I'm afraid I'm not one of those people, and I feel a lot more comfortable standing up and having the freedom to kind of move around and shift your weight as you need to, and just, even if you need to, say, see somebody, and if you're not the tallest person in the world, then it helps to be able to kind of just shift position slightly. So I really love the fact that the ACO stands up to playing.
we rehearse to get everything pre-prepared, but in performance it's all happening right there at the time. You know, if Richard pushes the tempo forward, or if Tippy wants to play that pizzicato a microsecond earlier, by the time you've heard it, it's too late, you've missed it. And so, you know, your pizzicato will be a microsecond too late. So you need to know that when he does, you know, this gesture, it's going to be a bit earlier, or Richard's going to push the tempo, so that everyone is pushing the tempo at that point. You know, because you're creating the art right there every time you perform.